ain't South Central, but we menace to society. My old dog taught me how to get away with robbery. I'm a convict, I can't be part of no democracy. Before I turn state on my brother, I cop a plea. What a real love at, don't wait till they retire me. Same niggas up in my pictures, they probably plot on me. I see what niggas do for their clout and notoriety. Hit you when you're down like a motherfucking soccer team. Money make the world go round, the more the merrier. The more niggas starve in the hood, it's more terrorists. Dreams turn to nightmares, shit gets scarier. And come Paul barrier. I gotta thank God cause he kept a nigga so blessed. The rappers gotta die just to get a big protest. It ain't no respect in the game and niggas know that. I bet your homie plotting on the queen, I take a Kodak.
That was nice, man.
Already.
Fuck with me,
Already. What's your IG?
Mad Music Cali, M-A-D-M-U.
Follow him on my Instagram, I want to hear more. I fuck with that. Appreciate that, Kelly.
Fuck with that, bro. Talk.
This man right here spent years chasing rap fame. He freestyled for every celebrity he could find, built his own label from nothing, and told anyone who would listen that he was going to make it. But while the world was watching his hustle, two women who loved him ended up dead. One of them was his wife. The other was his pregnant girlfriend, shot 7 times in her parents' driveway in front of her young son because she refused to get rid of a baby he did not want. And what makes this story even harder to sit with is that by the time that second woman was killed, the signs had been there for years. This is the story of Justin Renee Lewis, better known as Mad Music Cali, and 2 murders that the world almost never heard about.
What's up, bro? Hold it, man. Like I said, look. Cali swag, I'll put the fire to your back. Chopper City, nigga, welcome to Iraq. Buy your nigga bitches, then I give her back. Take milk a nigga bitch, I call that Similac. Fuck Donald Trump, I'm a Democrat. Fuck Mickey Mouse, I was killing rats. $1 million couldn't buy me. Illuminati wanna sign me. Child support trying to break me. Tony Hawk, I'm grinding. Fuck a bitch all in her butt. Baby daddy trying to find me. Videotaping my slut. Then I go back and rewind it. That's shit right there.
Let us start from the beginning, because you cannot understand what happened in that driveway in Georgia without first understanding who this man is and where he came from. Justin Renee Lewis grew up in the 9th Ward of New Orleans, Louisiana. If you know anything about New Orleans, you know the 9th Ward. It is one of the most culturally rich parts of the city, but it is also one of the hardest. People grow up there with big dreams and very few resources to chase them. Lewis was one of those people. From the time he was a child, he wanted to rap. He has talked about this in interviews, how he would sit around creating hooks in his head, believing from early on that music was the path he was supposed to take. His biggest inspiration was the Hot Boys, the Cash Money group from New Orleans that put Lil Wayne and Juvenile on the map in the late 1990s.
Yeah, Black Youngster just shouted out the video, man. Y'all go fuck with that. That shit in the bio, man. You heard me? Black Youngster shouted that shit out. Yay.
That group showed him that someone from his city, from his kind of background, could actually make it. The problem was money, or the lack of it. He could not afford studio time, so he stole a microphone from a family dollar store and used his mother's home computer to download free recording software called Mixpad. He would record tracks in the house after school, then burn the recordings onto CDs and sell them outside corner stores in the 8th Ward.
All these rap niggas seeing this nigga spitting this fucking heart out every motherfucking day. Y'all niggas better put this nigga on y'all gram, nigga, promote this little nigga, you heard? You heard? He out here hungry, you heard? I love that shit.
That was how he funded his early career, one CD at a time, on the street, with nothing but his own hustle backing him up. In 2011, that grinding led to his first mixtape, which he called Skinny Jeans and Some Chucks. From there, Lewis kept building. He paid for a feature from Big Freedia, the queen of New Orleans bounce music, on a track called By the Look in Her Eyes, which showed he was serious enough about his career to invest real money in it. He released singles steadily through the early 2020s, including Dumb Flow in 2020, then Live and Die in LA in 2021, followed by 100 Bands, Goddamn, and Wake Up all in 2022, and finally Letter to Meek in 2023.
Whatever.
You in the order, man, do the test, bro.
We good with that.
Oh, there we go. Well, boy, Jacquees in them motherfucker. Yeah, them brother, man. What cheese at? What y'all ain't with cheese? What cheese at? Yeah, man, they're my brother, man. Y'all know what's going on. Tower days. My boy Chris. Yes, sir.
He ran his own label, Mad Music Records, put out music videos on YouTube, and regularly showed up wherever famous rappers were gathered, trying to get his name out there. He was not shy about any of it either. In his own words, he was doing what most artists in his position could not do. And the hip-hop world actually noticed. DJ Academics gave him a public shout-out specifically for his habit of hunting down celebrities and freestyling for them on the spot.
Yeah, Black Youngster just shouted out the video, man. Y'all go fuck with that. That shit in the bio, man. You hear me? Black Youngster shouted that shit out. Yay.
Even Tory Lanez got on camera and told people to put some respect on his name. On the surface, he was just a guy from New Orleans trying to eat. He looked like the underdog story everyone roots for. But behind that surface, something very different was happening in his personal life, and by around 2012, the first chapter of it had already begun. That year, Lewis married a woman named Sydney Dalcour. Sydney was from New Orleans too, a young woman who was by all accounts deeply loved by everyone around her. She worked at Pure 424 Seafood Market in Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, right in the middle of the most tourist-heavy part of the city. She had a twin brother, 4 siblings in total, and a mother named Denise who adored her. Sydney had no problems with nobody and was loved and adored by everyone who knew her. She even had creative dreams of her own, reportedly rapping under the name China Doll. But from the start, the marriage was marked by abuse. Sydney's sister Tracy described repeated incidents of physical violence, black eyes, multiple hospital visits, and at least one injury to her head that was serious enough to require staples. This was not a one-time thing. It was a pattern that went on across the 5 years they were married, and Sydney's family tried more than once to convince her to leave.
Like to look. New Orleans on lock, I'm the locksmith, big pop on my Tupac shit, going at rappers, I ain't got pics. Fuck your bitch at the Motel 6, fuck her twice and then I holler switch. I'm a dog and never had a kick, I bought a Mac 11 and a yacht stick, that big I kick back, no karate, bitch. Rain up on the plug, never made it back, I went to Fifth Ave, I brought the whole whack, I brought the whole shop and brought the whole back. If I ain't pimpin', what the fuck you call that? Crescent City, that's a new Iraq. I'm at a plug, that's a new contact. You know I'm ball without a baseball bat, got the glitter aiming at your baseball cap. Yeah, there you go, on the highest tower. I want Michael Myers, then I cross the tiger. I'm a killer cyber tone, purchase fire. That's the shit right there, you heard me? Watch your back, you heard me?
She loved him, they said, and believed he would change.
Now it's his ex-girlfriend.
By May of 2017, Sydney and Lewis were in the middle of a difficult separation. Then, on the night of May 18, 2017, Sydney Dalcour was found shot to death inside her car outside the Willowbrook Apartments in New Orleans East, where a cousin of hers lived. Her red 2003 Infiniti G35 was still running when they found her. She had been shot multiple times and was only 25 years old. Police opened a homicide investigation and Lewis became the primary suspect almost immediately, but there was not enough evidence to charge him. The case went cold and still remains unsolved to this day. Sydney's mother called it senseless, even though her family was certain they knew who did it. But without charges and a conviction, Justin Lewis walked free. He kept making music and chasing his dream. And not long after, he started a new relationship with a woman named Rayisha Haird. Rayisha Danielle Haird was born on April 27, 1992 in the Atlanta area in DeKalb County, Georgia. She grew up in a large, tight family with 6 brothers and sisters: Ralph Jr., Roman Sr., Rodarius, Quinn, who went by Quan, Rhonda, and Janetta. Her parents, Ralph Sr. and Marilyn, raised all 7 of them together in Decatur. Her family called her Rain. Friends said she was the life of the party, always smiling, always finding a reason to make the people around her laugh.
This is her sister, Tracy.
So she was married to Justin for 5 years. He was really abusive to her. He fought her a lot. Like, he gave her black eyes. He put her in the hospital. She had to have staplers in her head. Like, say if she get like pretty and stuff, he a fighter for that.
Loved him so much. I think she had hope and dreams that he would change his ways, and he never did.
And it went too far.
Both family members and friends say they are frustrated because there has been no arrest, and they say they know exactly who did the shooting. And even more upsetting, they claim the shooter has been on social media many days since the murder.
And I just feel like I just want justice for her. How bad it hurt for them to have witness that is unexplainable. It's so hard. A lot on his Instagram. He's texting us. He's texting the family. Yeah, he wants to go viral from this. So, yes, we know who it is.
She attended Southwest DeKalb High School in Decatur, and when she eventually had children of her own, she enrolled them at Obama Elementary Magnet School, a place where a former principal remembered her as a caring and loving parent. She had 2 sons, Rayisha, who was around 12 years old in 2023, and Riley, who was around 8 or 9. Those boys were everything to her. Somewhere in the early 2020s, Rayisha's path crossed with Justin Lewis. They started a relationship and had children together. But according to her family, the relationship became abusive in ways that echoed exactly what Sidney Dalcour's family had described years earlier. Years of mistreatment was a pattern that wore Rayisha down until finally she made the decision to leave. She ended the relationship and was trying to move forward.
This with a passion, I'm passionate. Got me chasing a check in my nightgown. No Meek Mills can't let my dreams turn to nightmare. I've been popping Percocets. I've been feeling no stress. How you doing? This shit heavy on my chest. I feel pain. I swear I feel it all up in my soul. Like from back in the bed, they want to rewrite. These niggas so down, but I didn't win off. How about that? What with that shot of that salt? You dying like pop. You dead in that cup.
But leaving did not make her safe. In the months before October 2023, Lewis allegedly pulled up on Rayisha one night and opened fire on her black Chrysler 300. He shot at the car she was sitting in. The only reason she survived was because the clip fell out of the weapon and it jammed before he could do more damage. Rayisha did not report this to the police. Her family later explained that fear kept her from making that call, the same fear that traps so many women in situations like this one, where reporting feels more dangerous than staying quiet. Then she found out she was pregnant again. She was around 2 months along when she told Lewis, and according to her mother, who spoke directly to investigators, Lewis wanted her to abort the pregnancy. He pushed her on it, wanting her to end it, and Rayisha said no. Now, this is an important moment to pause on, because what happened next follows a pattern that researchers and domestic violence experts have been documenting for a long time. Studies have shown that pregnancy is one of the most dangerous periods in an abusive relationship because it represents something the abuser cannot control. A British medical journal analysis found that homicide is actually one of the leading causes of death for pregnant women in the United States, more common than many of the pregnancy-related medical complications people typically worry about.
12 a.m. my single dropping, you heard me, state to state. I need all my real supporters. 12 a.m. to click that link in that bio, you heard me? And fuck with me, run me up. You already know what it is, man. Mad Music Carry. Yeah, bitch nigga, talking all that shit over the internet. Dead man, we gon' send that smoke to where you living at. Gang gang, keep that K with them like the alphabet. Hella clips, we gon' make a movie like this Cinemax. These niggas don't want none, call them sister act. Caught him slipping by himself and turned him to a backpack. All my niggas know the drill like we in Chirac. Bitch, that nigga out on camera, hope you capture that. Catch me walking in the club with all my ice on. You disrespecting, we gon' turn this to a fight.
When a woman in that kind of relationship refuses to do what her abuser is demanding, the danger does not just stay the same, it multiplies. Rayisha was living through both of the highest risk windows at the same time. She had left Lewis and she was pregnant with his child. Those two facts together, in the context of everything that had already happened, made her life extremely fragile. And think about how Lewis himself used to talk about going after what he wanted back when he was talking about music. He said it plainly in his own interviews. That same energy, that same conviction that he was owed something and that nothing was going to stand in his way had a very different meaning by October of 2023.
I said, look, okay, I advertise your baptizing. Rhyme to you like I'm cab driving. I'm a killer beat, then televise it. I'm a killer rapper, then hide his body. When I'm pissed off, you a porty potty. Yo, bitch nigga start pussy popping. Yo, baby mama got me pussy watching. You gave a cootie, she wishy-washy. This a gunfight, stop pulling up with the paparazzi. Yeah, get in front of rapper, tell him pick a subject, I go kamikaze. Yeah, my money talking, my guns loud, let's talk about it. Yeah, y'all the boy needs to stop kissing men and learn how to be men again. Don't go against me, you'll never win. Go suck a dick and eat a peppermint. I got real killers I can recommend. Who put you on that was an accident? You irrelevant, I give my wild man a turn. Bitch, you took Pakistan. Run up on you with 100 rounds. Lord, now I gon' gun you down. Fucking around with these BDs, I'm connected all up in A-Sound. Skirting off is a race now. Phase all on my case now. Niggas say they get money, I guess they money mention ace now. I get money, I'm grateful. Thugger, why they all in my face for? I beat on my chest in the boot. I go 8 though. You pussy serving like a rape toe. The rebel like you knowing who the prince beat me. Damn, I number 7, bitch. I'm looking for my queen. Tell her freak me.
On the evening of October 11th, 2023, Rayisha went to her parents' house on Kelly Chapel Road in Decatur. She had groceries to bring inside and her son Riley was with her. Her parents were home. She got out of the car and started unloading the bags. That is when someone came for her. She was shot 7 times, twice in the back, once in the chest, once in the leg, and once in the head. By the time anyone got to her, it was already too late. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Riley, her 9-year-old son, had watched his mother get shot down in front of him.
Fuck with me. Look, you ready? Look, I tell him, look. Look,
This that gospel music, watch me take him to church. Remember times in front of that mall, I was selling my merch, and I...
Wait, hold on 1 second. Let me check my boy out. Come on over here. Let me check out.
Appreciate that.
I'm going to give you real shit.
Real shit.
Real shit.
This that gospel music, watch me. Kelly, believe that. You already know who it is. First off, you know it's Kelly. Let me spit some game. I brought my main bitch up with my side bitch a chain. We just left out of bonus copping fists and things, kicks and things, co-side with the Knicks and things. Balling hard on these haters like a piston man. Moving bricks from New Orleans up to Michigan. Ice dripping on me like I broke my wrist again. I'm an 8-figure nigga. I can't risk it, man. A business man. I'm talking big business, man. So hot I even got Jehovah Witness saying my legs up. Even raining took the witness stand. Got me thinking about spinning with that switch again and switch again. Hop up in that sneaky link, then we going hit this bitch again. I've been broke, but now nigga rich again. Paid in full out your ballin' like I'm Mitch and them. Red bottom sitting up under my kicks again. 30 perner sitting all over my wrists again. You feel me?
Her parents had heard the gunshots from inside the house to come out and find her already gone. This was also, as the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported, the second fatal shooting this family had experienced in 14 months. They were grieving on top of grief that had not yet healed. And while all of that was unfolding, while Rayisha's family was on that driveway trying to make sense of what had just happened, Justin Lewis was on Instagram Live. He went online, faced the camera, and instead of expressing any kind of shock or sadness, he said there was only a possibility that he was even the father of the baby she had been carrying.
The girl I used to mess with, you feel me? Like, so, I don't know what to say about that. I feel like if they people felt like this, they spreading the rumors through the internet. Crazy how everybody try to bring you down when they really don't even know what's going on.
So the girl who got killed, that wasn't even your baby mama?
Nah. The one from now, like the one that they saying, it could have been a possibility, you feel me?
So that was your current girlfriend?
Nah, I ain't got no girlfriend at all. You feel me? Only thing is my wife. That's the only girl, you feel me, that ever, my wife.
He told his followers that Rayisha's family was spreading lies about him and that people did not know what was really going on. Then, according to her family, he went further and started interacting on social media posts that named him as a wanted man, liking and engaging with them like the whole situation was a joke to him. DeKalb County Police launched a homicide investigation immediately after Rayisha's body was found on that driveway. From the beginning, investigators looked at Justin Lewis as the primary person of interest. The attack had all the marks of someone who knew Rayisha's movements, where her parents lived, and came there with a clear intention. Police described it as a domestic-related homicide from the start, meaning someone who had a personal connection to this woman had come to her family's home and killed her there. Investigators looked at the history between Lewis and Rayisha. They spoke to her family. They reviewed the details of the earlier incident where Lewis had allegedly shot at her car and the gun jammed before anyone got hurt.
Jump in the water with the sharks, nigga. No, it's single tonight.
They looked at his social media activity in the hours after the shooting, the Instagram lives, the interactions with posts calling him wanted. They also pulled the police report details that included the statement from Rayisha's mother about Lewis demanding she abort the pregnancy. All of that started building a picture. 7 days after the murder, on October 18, 2023, DeKalb County Police found Justin Rene Lewis in Forest Park, Georgia, and took him into custody. He was transported to DeKalb County Jail and charged with 1 count of malice murder. In the state of Georgia, a malice murder charge means prosecutors are arguing that the killing was intentional and deliberate and carries a potential life sentence. When the news of the arrest came through, Rayisha's sister Rhonda Hurd Dickens told reporters that the family had finally been able to sleep. Not that they felt better or that anything was healed, just that the fear, the constant grinding fear of what he might do next, had lifted enough for them to close their eyes at night. Lewis, for his part, had already put his version of things out there. Back at South by Southwest in 2018, when someone asked him about the tension with NBA YoungBoy, he gave this answer, and it is worth hearing in the context of everything we now know about how he handled conflict in his personal life.
You killed my sister. You know you did it. Ain't nobody got to lie on you. You killed my sister. Look at you just sitting right there looking guilty as because he's guilty, y'all. Look at his face. Look at his face, y'all. Look how guilty he is. If you notice, when I kept saying, you killed my sister, you killed my sister, he never once denied it and say, I didn't do it. I didn't think that he had the guts and the audacity, many open wounds, and it's just like I had to relive everything over.
All love in public, but the women closest to him were telling a very different story in private. Now, regarding the NBA YoungBoy situation specifically, that conflict actually gives us another window into how Lewis operated when he felt disrespected or overlooked. In public, he wanted to look unbothered and ready for peace. In private, when he felt cornered or challenged, his response was to escalate. That pattern showed up consistently in his rap beefs, in his relationships, and ultimately, according to investigators, in that driveway in Decatur. As of early 2026, no public trial date, verdict, or plea deal has been reported in this case. Searches of the DeKalb County court system return no publicly accessible records for the case under Lewis's name. This is not unusual in Georgia. Murder cases in large counties like DeKalb routinely take between 2 and 4 years to move through the system, especially when there are motions to be heard and evidence to be reviewed before anything goes in front of a jury. The case is almost certainly still moving forward, just not in a way that has surfaced publicly yet.
Damn, Diplo, you did that?
I'ma try to do whatever it takes. Gotta fill up my family plate. Niggas love me, but sure with hate. Survived in the jungle with bands and apes. Now the niggas that started man down. They cannot stop me cause I am too great. I had to finish shit right out the crown. I'm in my bag, I'm boot shot straight. Ayy, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man. So that shit right in my save. Ayy, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man. Cut that shit right in your face. Ayy, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man, 100 man. Get the fuck out of my face. Ayy, son of man, son of man, son of man, son of man. Pull up and hit with it, Jay.
Meanwhile, back in New Orleans, the case of Sidney Dalcour remains classified as an open cold case. Her family is still waiting. They have been waiting for nearly 8 years now. On the National Gun Violence Memorial, where her name is listed, people who loved her have left tributes. One reads, "Such an overwhelming loss. Love you, China." Another simply says, "R.I.P., baby girl." What happened to Rayisha specifically, a man pressuring a woman to abort a pregnancy and then allegedly killing her when she refused, is something that has come up in other cases where people were eventually convicted and sentenced, and it is worth putting those side by side so you understand the gravity of what is being alleged here. One of the most known examples is Ray Caruth, a former NFL wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. In November of 1999, his girlfriend, Cherika Adams, who was 8 months pregnant, was ambushed and shot 4 times in her car on a street in Charlotte, North Carolina. Prosecutors argued that Caruth had hired men to kill her because she refused to end her pregnancy, and he did not want to deal with child support payments on his football salary.
Fuck my nigga Mad Music Cali.
You already know, man. We out shit, man.
Yeah, man. So nigga, I'm just freestyling, man. Your style ain't free, my nigga.
You already
know,
know,
I'm saying, man.
How bad it hurt for them to have witness that is unexplainable. It's so hard.
Adams managed to call 911 before she lost consciousness, and her son Chancellor was delivered by emergency surgery, though he survived with cerebral palsy. Adams died about a month later. Caruth was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to nearly 19 years in prison, which he served before being released in 2018. More recently, in November of 2022, a man from Seminole County, Florida, named Donovan Fazem murdered his 18-year-old girlfriend, Kaylin Fiengo, who was also 2 months pregnant.
On my dick, you a black nigga, hit a lick, all about my money, call me Mitch, that's your bitch, what a little fish, yeah, she on my dick, yeah, and she thick, yeah, she be doing tricks, yeah, on my dick, yeah, I'ma find that bitch in Hollow one night, and I'm performing in that pussy, she call me a hype man, I hit your bitch off in the back, I hope she ain't share with Geico, see I made that bitch sell a pussy, but still got my name on the title, see I make her spit on my mic, she that is American Idol, record and make a rap star, I got that big on viral. I jump out the whip suicidal. They thinking I'm killing myself. I put my right hand on the Bible, and then I start feeling myself. Had a dream that I was a king, then I turned that right to reality. My friend's face is looking like he Moses. Why the fuck you looking mad at me? Tomorrow never promise, so I live it up for the day. My mama say find me a job, they pay me the minimum wage. I'm starting to feel like a mannequin. She tell me I'm stuck in my ways, cause I didn't went back to the stove. Since I was in the car like a slave, surrounded by all of these animals. I'm feeling like no other bitch. The way that I'm playing the block, I shifted all on that bitch.
Prosecutors said he had texted her demanding she get an abortion after she sent him photos of a positive pregnancy test. When she refused, he invited her to a local park under the pretense of celebrating the news and shot her in the head. She was found dead in her car, and an ultrasound image was recovered near her body. In December of 2025, after a full trial, Faison was sentenced to death. There is one more thing that needs to be said before we close out, and it connects back to Sidney Dalcour and the way her case was handled in 2017. The New Orleans Police Department clears fewer than half of its homicide cases, which means that in more than 50% of murders in that city, nobody is ever charged. When a woman in an abusive relationship is killed and the physical evidence is thin,
look, I need y'all to go check out that new single in the bio right now called Dumb for Love. Y'all go fuck with my new single. Let me know what y'all think, you dig? I just dropped that for my fans, you dig? Y'all go check that shit out. Link in the bio on SoundCloud. Y'all retweet that shit, like that shit, do whatever y'all feel, you dig? Y'all go check that shit out. And today I'm performing at AC3, 1136 Crescent Avenue. Y'all come fuck with me, you dig? I'm Music Academy.
those cases often disappear into a backlog. They stay open on paper, but in practice, they are abandoned. Sidney Delcour's family has been living with that reality for almost a decade now. Rayisha's funeral was held on October 23, 2023 at First Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in Atlanta. The one time earlier that year when someone could have stepped in and done something, when a gun was pulled on her car and the weapon jammed, nobody called it in. That is the part of this story that should stay with you. Do you think anything could have been done to save her if she spoke up? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.